Welcome back to CVM Sunrise. In studio with us at this time is Corbin and Vincent Sweeney. And they're here today to give us the lowdown on World Oceans and World Environment Day. The theme for World Environment Day is connecting people with nature. And World Oceans Day's theme is Our Oceans, Our Future. The 2 days provide opportunities for all of us to work together to foster a deeper connection with the environment and teaches us how we can sustainably preserve the Caribbean Sea for future generations. First off, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
So tell us, Chris, what's going on with our oceans?
They're not in good shape.
Oh, wow.
They're not in good shape. I wish I had better news, but but there's some positive, there's some opportunities in terms of, as you rightly said, if we take some action now and become more aware in terms of how we can safeguard our oceans. Our oceans provide us fish. They're the basis for our tourism industry. They're the basis for our recreation. And as the theme says, for us as a small island, without oceans, we have no future.
Right.
But we are impacting it quite negatively with waste, with pollution, destroying coral reefs. But I think we need to start making some changes.
Okay. And what would you say is the most popular pollutant that we actually have in the oceans that we're seeing?
I would, you know, like a 100-meter race that's down to the final, it's very close. I would say on the solid side, it's garbage. It's solid waste. It still ends up in our gullies, our rivers, and actually ends up on our beaches. And on the liquid side, I would say sewage. It's wastewater, because it's the one we don't want to talk about. And I saw your expression. We don't want to talk about sewage, and we don't want. But it's one which is really challenging because we don't have good treatment systems, and it's really impacting us in multiple ways.
Oh, okay. Would you say that the pollution, because a lot of people have been complaining with regards to how scanty, you know, or the fish reservoir is in terms of us getting the seafood that we need in order to nourish our bodies. Would you say that has played a major part in affecting the amount that we're able to get?
It is certainly one of the factors, because what's happening in the oceans is that we have so many impacts. We have, in some cases, people overfishing, which is a problem, but then we also have the destruction of the coral reefs, and that itself is being caused by pollution. So definitely we're not seeing the fishing resource that we used to, and a major part of that is the increased pollution, the nutrients, the plastics, the sewage that are ending up in the sea.
So Vincent, I'm sure we came this morning to talk about solutions. Tell us some of the initiatives that you guys are undertaking to help rid us of this problem.
Well, we're talking about two issues, one of which is a huge issue on the ocean, and the other is more general environmental issues. And obviously, there are a number of initiatives, some in the region, some in Jamaica, and some globally. Yesterday was World Environment Day, June 5th. It's celebrated every year, and there are activities all over the world in order to raise awareness, identify what are the impacts, how important the environment is, and what we can do. And that was hosted by the Government of Canada. And in addition to a lot of activities that were held in Canada, there were massive cleanups, tree planting, establishment of protected areas, and some symbolic activities such as lighting up in green of Niagara Falls, the Empire State Building, Christ the Redeemer in Rio, the pyramids in Egypt, the Dubai Tower, which is the tallest building in the world. And then nationally, there are a series of activities that my colleague and others are involved in, which are trying to get the public in Jamaica involved in. And they start on Thursday, actually.
Chris, tell us about those.
Well, we have realized that we need to do a lot more in getting out to the public and getting out to young people. So we've managed for the first time in collaboration with Vincent here to have a series of activities during the week, a big effort on social media. So we've joined the Twitter family, we've joined Facebook, we've joined Instagram, and we are promoting a series of video and photo competitions. In fact, we've just extended the deadline from this week until next week to submit pictures of how are you interacting with nature, how are you interacting with the oceans in a positive way, not just showing where people dumping and giving problems. So that is an aspect that we're doing. And then we've also partnered with General Foods for a plastic aware. As you know, there's been a lot of talk recently about the management of solid waste and the management of trash.
Right.
And this is where we hope to bring awareness to the consumer, because we can make differences in the purchases that we do. And we've gotten several local partners, both private sector, Recycle It, Recycle 360, with Cinco, a range of them, the Canadian High Commission. So they're all coming on board and joining in with UN Environment to help raise awareness that, yes, it's a big problem, but there are solutions.
You just spoke about Twitter and Instagram and all the social media platforms that you are on currently. But tell me about the Plastic Aware Shopping Challenge.
Yeah, well, the idea came from our staff. We had a brainstorming and we decided this was something that we needed to do. So the idea is that we're setting up around the supermarket, and as consumers are coming in, really asking them a variety of quizzes relating to, do you know which of your plastics are recyclable? Encouraging persons to actually buy alternatives to plastics. There are several awareness raising in terms of what alternatives can you carry your own bottle. Don't dispose of plastics illegally. So there are a number of things that we plan to do as part of that event to help raise the awareness, and more importantly, to help make some behavioral change, because that's where we need to go.
So I find that if the structure is in place, persons will try as best as they can to adhere. But when I decide at home that I'm going to recycle, I'm going to put my plastics over there and I'm going to separate it from this, is there a system in place at the dumps to receive the garbage in that manner?
Well, this is maybe a good opportunity to highlight two major initiatives. One that we are leading, called Trash Free Partnership, and then one which my colleague is leading on plastics, to address just that. Because you're perfectly right. If we raise awareness and then the infrastructure is not there, we don't have good collection systems, recycling systems, the problem will continue.
That's true.
The first initiative we have is a partnership here in Jamaica involving National Environment Planning Agency, Sandals Foundation, the private sector, the Peace Corps, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in looking at community-based approaches to deal with solid waste. So as you said, working with local communities, trying to identify how can they deal with their waste, not always depending on someone else. So that's just one. And then we also have another big one coming up, which
Vincent
can speak on.
Yeah, well, we are actually working with the government, NEPA, National Solid Waste Management Authority, and others to develop a plastic waste management project for Jamaica.
Oh, finally.
And
Awesome.
it's hopefully going to build on a number of other initiatives and trying to identify opportunities for recycling and maybe some business opportunities as well, so that we don't see plastic as just a problem, but if we can recover it, we can do things with it. And this has to also be accompanied by some governmental inputs in terms of policies, something that will support you and encourage you to recycle, either positive or negative incentives, whether it's punitive or whether it is some kind of incentives to import recycling equipment. It's being developed right now, and we have almost $1 million US to support that project.
That is
so
awesome.
It's quite a significant initiative that's going to start very soon, and we hope to launch it in July.
Oh, definitely, and we definitely have to come back to launch it here
So
with
we
us.
hope so.
But I want to talk about how it is that we continue this awareness, because usually we have this day of celebration, and yes, the awareness is at its peak on these days, but how it is that we continue the conversation and have it cemented that we need to recycle in order to protect our environment?
That's an important question. It's something where it shouldn't be now just about the environmental agencies, the UN environments, the NEPAs of the world. It really needs to be something that we institutionalize. Everyone needs to be an advocate. Everyone needs to be a spokesperson. We need to recognize that the environment is not about tree hugging and environmentalists and
Right.
people who don't want the country to develop. No. I mean, more and more, we're seeing that the environment is a catalyst for development. And you've heard talk of green jobs and green opportunities. And I think this is what we have to sustain. We need to go to the schools. We need to go to the public. We need to use, and yes, I mentioned social media, but that's still only connecting with one audience. And we now really need to go down to grassroots level. We need to meet communities at their home base and help show them that what are the alternatives to environmental mismanagement.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chris, and thank you, Vincent, for coming through and sharing this information with us. So please help us save our environment, because it's going to benefit us at the end of the day. We take a break. We have more CVM Sunrise when we come back.